Hello, everyone. Welcome to a special episode of Colonial Archives. Once in a great while, a person arrives who is able to give voice to their pain and suffering in a way that makes it seem beautiful, and in doing so, makes us feel beautiful. Sometimes it's an artist, sometimes a poet, sometimes a musician. James Arthur Baldwin was a writer and activist, and he was such a person. He was born in Harlem, New York, 102 years ago this week, but he never belonged there. He said as much. "The place in which I'll fit," he stated, "will not exist until I make it." I can't say for certain if he ever succeeded in creating that place for himself. I would like to think he did. But what I can say for sure is that in his efforts to do so, he created a cultural space in which people might dare to face head-on the truth of the person they have longed for, fled from, fought against, and in the end, loved all the more, because that person is not someone they were destined to become, but someone they have always been. Baldwin put into clear, generative language the way to meet a world designed to devalue blackness and queerness and love and even God. It must be met, he taught, from that inner place where the value of a person is born and lives, and where a person's identity is part of a vast kingdom that didn't begin on earth and won't end here. It must be met with the fathomless depths of the heart, known best by those who have dared to push far enough inward. Those depths are the only place where a person's suffering and pain and fear can be rendered down to size. But the world doesn't make that an easy task, nor should it. The world doesn't care about human ease. Nor do we make it any easier for ourselves by assuming that the journey inward should take less effort or struggle or suffering than our outer journey. Finding truth, value, identity, and heart would not be a worthy goal of our life on earth if it were easy. On the contrary, we are tasked to meet our often cruel and heartless world with all the heart we can summon. A life so met bears the mark of a true human, a true artist, one who can take experiences of pain and suffering and transform them into experiences of transcendence. This is especially the case for the writing arts, because writing poses a unique challenge to the writer. The painter or the musician is already working with mediums that can directly translate an inner experience. A color, by itself, needs no words to elicit a range of thoughts and feelings. The same is true of musical tones and rhythms. Great music and art, great pain and sorrow, great joy and pleasure are often impossible to describe with words. Yet that is exactly what being a writer demands. It requires one to take an experience, a pastoral scene, for example, and render it into a story that allows readers to engage in an act of co-creation with the author. And great writing goes further. It allows a reader and the writer to learn something new about themselves, to feel something deeply, and to intuit thoughts and meaning from that feeling that can change the way they see and understand the world and themselves. But James Baldwin went far beyond being a great writer. He was a revolutionary thinker who, through his words and his life, fearlessly and urgently explored the boundaries of the human heart. Fearlessly because he understood that his very survival depended on it. Urgently because he understood that if a nation abdicated its responsibility to serve humanity, there would be no end to the labyrinth of avarice in which it would find itself. As someone who is also compelled to write, Baldwin speaks to me more directly and more intimately. "What I create," he said, "says more about me than it can possibly say about anything else." To Baldwin's point, As a writer, my own heart must spend itself tirelessly and completely until the carbon deposits of my ego are dissolved in the spending, and so little of it remains that it cannot block the passage of the only voice that matters. Only then might I become a pure vessel for the divine intent of the universal Creator. Can there possibly be a greater mission than that? Can a person hope for more than to meet the heartless world armed with the sacred intent of the Creator? If there are any among us who have not secretly held that inner longing, I invite them to sit with me a moment and explore together whether the world would know any love whatsoever were it not for the human hearts that strive in the direction of that longing. I offer the invitation because, like Baldwin, I know the world from both sides of the divide. And like him, I also know I must make a cultural and spiritual place in the world from the truth and the love that exist within me, if it is to be made at all. Baldwin once told an audience at the University of Chicago, "The artist, no matter how he sounds, is by definition a religious person, believing that we can create and transcend all our gods, that it is entirely the work of human beings to make the world more human." In this sense, we are all artists, even if some of us must, for now, hide the longing to become a vessel of divine intent. Baldwin kept no such secrets. He spoke the truth because his life depended on it, as do our own. As an artist, he journeyed far enough into his own humanity to identify the human failings of society. He also prophesied how it would all end should any nation not heed the demand which the artist makes upon society to become more human, and which society, as Baldwin warned, inevitably, unfailingly, and always resists. It bears repeating. Finding truth, value, identity, and heart would not be a worthy goal of our life on earth if it were easy. Join us next time.